Eccoci qua ragazzi, bentornati a questo nuovo episodio del podcast del bartender. Siamo direttamente dal Mixology Circus all'interno di Beer Food Attraction a Rimini. Per chi ci vede in diretta, benvenuti, buongiorno. Per chi vede un episodio, ragazzi, questo è un nuovo episodio, uno dei miei dream episode del podcast. Per la prima volta parlerò in inglese, quindi chiedo anche scusa per quello che sarà il mio inglese a questo giro, però ho il piacere di avere uno degli ospiti che quando ho creato questo progetto avrei voluto fare. Quindi hello Tom.
Hey Comedy, how are you?
Ciao, abbonati sul canale YouTube. Amici miei, ciao. Se vedete questo video vuol dire che già seguite questo canale, quindi non devo spiegarvi chi sono io e che cos'è questo posto. Siamo diventati tantissimi. Ho deciso di attivare gli abbonamenti su questo canale YouTube per poter ricevere supporto da parte vostra e soprattutto per poter sapere chi sono i veri fedelissimi, ai quali poter includere su un gruppo speciale in cui verranno date tutte le informazioni riguardanti le novità del podcast e anche i vari progetti, e anche la possibilità di partecipare ai vari giveaway, perché ho fatto un sacco di regali tante volte, però spesso non so a chi veramente sto dando quello che magari sarebbe più giusto destinare a chi segue veramente questo progetto da sempre. Quindi a un prezzo simbolico di 3,99 € ho deciso di dare la possibilità di abbonarsi al canale YouTube. Quindi 3,99 € penso sia un prezzo onesto per tutto questo. Nice to have you here.
Thank you very much for having me. What a pleasure.
My pleasure. I told in the streaming in the episode this is one of my dream episode to do it, because when I started doing these things I was planning in a book how would like to call, and the first name was Tom, Luca, Dario.
Nice. Well, thank you very much, man. That's really nice.
Nice to have you here. Thank you so much to give to me your time.
Thank you.
So let's go into it because we have not a lot of time. How are you, Tom?
I'm good, thanks. Yeah, very good. Big start to the year this year, but very busy and excited to see what 2025 has to offer. But so far, it's busy.
Yeah, you're still busy.
Yeah. There's a lot happening. Like the flair world is growing up, and there's a lot happening in my world, in my businesses and things like this. I'm starting to prepare for the next Flair camp as well. So there's a lot happening, and it's good to be back in Italy though. I haven't been here for many years,
yeah.
So it's nice to be back.
You said so. Explain me what is Flair camp.
So Flair camp, right here, is a week-long Flair bartenders holiday, and we're going into our 14th edition now. So we've been going for over a decade, and originally it was myself, it was Tom McMalek, Marek Pojluzny and Pedro Garcia. They're all now doing their own thing, and I kind of almost run this alone.
Oh, no, you're alone. Okay, I didn't know about that.
My girlfriend helps me, my girlfriend Patricia, we run it together. And then I get help. Obviously, we have a team that come there and help with the media and social media and photographs and whatever else, but the organization is just us, and it's a community of bartenders.
Years by years become most seriously the organization, I imagine, because here in Italy we have I don't know if you know Master Evento.
Yeah, I know Master Evento. Yeah,
and Lorenzo, it's my close friends, and I saw him how Master Evento grow up, and I saw as well our friend Flair Camp grow up, and so I know how the organization be.
Yeah.
At the beginning, if I saw that, okay, it's a Flair course, but the Flair course is the easy things to do.
Exactly.
All the side things are different. In most when there is a lot of people.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people don't realize the like when we finish one Flair camp, we're already starting the organization of the next. Sometimes we're starting before the other one is finished. So it's a 6 to 8 month cycle of, you've got to arrange boat parties and logistics and ingredients and fruit and flights and
Plan B.
Everything. And it's a passion project more than anything, because I couldn't live from just doing Flair Camp. It's a passion project that I've wanted to do, and I want to help the Flair world grow. The Flair has given me so much. I'm only here now because of my skills in Flair bartending. So I want to help, the new generation to get better, and what better way than to help them learn from some of the best flair bartenders in the world? And that's what we try and deliver with Flair Camp.
This is what I would like to do with the podcast. I'm doing podcast a lot with Mixology world, but I'm still a flair bartender, so
Sure.
my heart's still there,
Yeah.
So I would like to give maybe we will talk in Red Bull stage with other guys, but I would like to talk with you too, because the flair changed. But in the years, the flair changed when the generation before you bartenders start was different than yours and after
Sure.
and after. So the problem I saw maybe in today for bartenders, it's they would like to do their flair career like yours, but now the world is changing,
Sure. It's difficult. It's very difficult because when I started, we were still in a discovery phase of flair bartending, and now we're in a phase where not everything has been discovered, like moves and whatever else, but it's very hard to discover new moves and new ideas. And when I began, all the flair bartenders were working as a bartender and competing in the competitions, whereas now all of the flair bartenders, about 10% of the flair bartenders are competing in competitions, and 90% are working behind the bars,
Yes.
or doing it just for a hobby. So the need for the type of flair that people want is very different, because we see a lot of craft flair, a lot of tin on tin, and less, and then we see less exhibition flair and big moves. So this is why also at Flair Camp we make sure that we teach craft flair and working flair and exhibition flair and all the different varieties and how to utilize your flair skills to make money, and how to work with brands and how to respect sponsors, and we teach about mixology and cocktails and pairing flavors and everything combined. Whereas a flair course when I began was, here's how to do a handstand and here's how you throw a shadow pass, and that was it.
For me too, yeah.
So it's changed a lot, yeah.
Maybe when we start to that one is Samuel Ambrosi. I don't know if you remember him.
Yes, yeah, I do.
Yes.
So, guys, we have also to say hello to the chat boys.
Raul Guzman is on live now.
Hey, Raul, how's it going?
These guys have like 2 million followers on YouTube.
It's early for him as well. Miami is like 3 o'clock in the morning.
But he get the notification, I think, because of the live streaming. So I would like to maybe when the craft flair became big and get popularity, because it's humanitized flair. Like, I was telling you yesterday about this. Maybe we was looking at you, Tom, with you, Marek, Tomek, and Dario, Giorgio, like an alien. Because of the difficulty of the moves of their style.
Sure.
And maybe the craft flair let flair be more popular. Everyone can do it.
A big time. But I can tell you, because myself and Marco Canova, as you know, we're writing a book about flair bartending. And the term craft flair was the first place I heard it was from a bartender called David Eden Sangwell. His nickname was Scooby, a UK guy. He used to do a podcast called Podcast HQ or Bartender HQ. He doesn't do it anymore. And there's a YouTube video, you can have a look. It's from like 2012, I think it is. And he said, there's a new movement that he's calling craft flair. And he references a video from a bartender in Russia called Yevgeny Shashin.
I remember that video.
And he does like some tin on tin.
Like 10 move with tin on tin.
Exactly.
And tin, ice scoop, and move like that.
Exactly. And then from there, it just kind of started to spread, and people started to do tin on tin tricks.
I have a goosebump.
Me too. Me too. And this craft flair, as you said, it's accessible to people. Because you learn, we were talking yesterday, to learn to throw a bottle over your shoulder and land it on the back of your hand is going to take you months.
You cannot do it in one day.
You can't do it in one day. But I can teach you a tin on tin trick, which is pretty cool, that you can learn in one day.
If you can pick up someone here now, he will understand how to do it.
Exactly. And it's accessible for people. It's like, cool, I can do that. I want to do that more than throwing it over the shoulder. Yeah. And it's also more practical for use behind the bar.
Yes, because I remember when I did my first master classes of flair,
on the night I was working, but on the night I was not doing what I learned in the class of flair, you know. And
Yes.
if you do craft, you can do in that night, in that day, you can do that trick on your bar.
Exactly.
When you work.
Exactly, and this is the strength of craft flair and why we're seeing so many bartenders utilize that style of flair, because it's a step into the flair bartending world. And then those bartenders who want to take it further start to explore moves with bottles and exhibition flair and 2 and 3 bottles, and then perhaps they'll start competing later on. But yeah, craft flair is the one which is helping keep flair alive, let's say.
Yeah, but because you remember when I started to be a bartender, there was like 2 worlds: mixology and flair.
Sure.
And in 2014, 2013, about maybe we have to say thank you to craft flair too. These 2 were the mixing.
Oh, big time. Yeah.
Because all the mixology was looking at us like, no, I don't. It's like a circus. But
Yeah, exactly.
But now they saw moves like I can do that. I can not lose more time at work, and I can do it like nice moves and make everything better.
Exactly. And when you look at the journey of like flair and mixology, and from the early 2000s, you had like the flair world went crazy.
You was there.
Yeah, we was there. And then the mixology world was kind of going a little bit. And then when the flair world started to flatten, the mixology world caught up. And then all these crazy things started happening in mixology. And we're doing all these infusions and centrifuge and rotovaps and things which you do in the laboratory. Mm-hmm. And then the mixology world went crazy. And then that's when craft flair came in. Because people were like, well, everyone can make nice cocktails. You can go to any bar and get a nice espresso martini now, whereas in 2002, what's an espresso martini? It didn't exist. So then people started to realize, well, I need to be able to attract people to my bar in another way. So I'm going to learn a little bit of flair. But I don't want to spend hours and hours and hours in the flair room. So this is where craft flair, like you said, helped the mixology world grow, helped the bartenders grow, and brought those 2 worlds together. And now we see a lot more the flair bartenders of the world being good in flair and good in mixology, and it's a good marriage, I believe.
Yeah, and I'll tell you what happened to me in that time when craft flair came. I was in the school where I was teaching just the basic course, and the company was asking me, "You are doing competition. We are paying for you flights. We are paying for you competition. We need more people in the flair course." But there was not a lot of people. And after I tried to do the craft course, and after everyone was doing that course because it was more easy, like you told.
Yeah.
Like you said, and I get a lot of courses about that.
Did you get? I guess the bookings grow up, because when you can set students up for success, and this is another thing we try and push for Flair Camp, is we want students or campers to come. We want them to learn as much as they possibly can, but at the same time, we want people to leave with a sense of accomplishment, a sense of achievement. You know, we want them to go, I went to Flair Camp and I learned all of this stuff. You know, and they're not going to learn how to do 4 or 5 objects in 1 week. That's unnecessary. But if they can learn 10 tin-on-tin tricks, 10 jigger pours, 10 working flair moves, a few sequences, and a few exhibition flair moves, then they have a nice, what I call a vocabulary of moves.
To come back, yeah.
To come back and to motivate themselves to practice. And if we can build that vocabulary of moves with every flair bartender, they will want to learn more. Because how did you feel when you first landed the bottle over your shoulder onto your hand?
I was on the heaven. My mom was screaming because all the wall was like breaking. Yeah. But I was my hand was like full of blood, but I was so happy.
I completely and then that motivates you to want to do more, right?
Yes.
Because that dopamine hit that you get, which at the moment we get that from scrolling through our phones. But when you've been practicing for weeks and weeks and weeks and months, and then you land that big move and you get that hit ching, in your brain of dopamine from landing that move, you're like, I want more.
Look, and I'm close to cry now. You know why? You remember me when I did for first time when I started to flair. I was looking to video with yours and a lot. I remember the move of Vladimir Burian was doing in competition, like the fourth. and double stall.
Oh yeah.
And was like 2017, so I was already in the fair world, and I was in Italy. I had my popularity, but I never learned that move. And I took like 1 week of training, but only with that move,
Just double over the shoulder.
because I didn't know the secret of that move. You know.
Ah, yeah.
When I was like here, the bottle was already on the floor. So when I understand the secret to maybe go higher with you have the time to do this. When I landed after 1 week of training, I was starting to cry.
Do you see the emotions?
And I remember now I have the goosebump because I remember that moment. It was so amazing. And a month after, I was talking with Giorgio Chiarello, and he didn't know how to do that move too. But I sent to him that secret, and he did it in like 10 minutes.
Exactly, and that's the thing. The key word you say is secret. When you, and probably you can see this with your students now when you're training people, and you see that I'm struggling with this move, and boop, there's one little thing that's going to help, and then bang, they can pick up and they can get the move like this, boom, over the shoulder. And when you're able to deliver that kind of information to your students, or if you're able to understand that and learn that yourself.
Yes, because I make it 1 week of training, but like 5-6 hours every day just with that move. Because
wow.
And after I said to Giorgio the secret, and I learned in 1 week, and in 10 minutes he was used to. He was used to, but I did, and he did it. So, and this is the same with the students. Like I was so scared to do the flip with teens and this when I was at the beginning, and it was like worth like 1 month to do it for me. And the students do it in minutes.
In minutes, exactly. And if you can deliver that kind of help to people, and that's what's going to help Flair grow. Because the way I see myself now is I'm a facilitator to share my knowledge with people. Exactly what this podcast is about. And I think we were talking about it yesterday, is that if there isn't people doing podcasts or sharing videos, then the Flair world or the knowledge is lost. You know, I think we were talking about when you bring new or old school bartenders back and introduce them to the world of Flair bartending or into the new generation, and they're like, I don't know. They say I don't know who that person is. Who was it you were talking about yesterday? Danilo Ribe.
I was with big Flair bartender. I was talking with him. He was asking me, who is that guy? I said, how you asked me who is that guy? I told you there was like a meme on Facebook back in the days of Dario Doimo, in a picture picture of Dario Doimo like this, and there was right, so you are a Flair bartender, you don't know me. But today that meme didn't work. Because people already didn't know, the new Flair bartender didn't know who Dario is. Right,
and if we're not constantly updating people and telling them about these Flair bartenders or these ideas or these moves, then it gets lost. And this something I run organize a coaching mentoring group called the Pro Flair Group, where we have like a community of bartenders. They pay a monthly fee, and every month we have a call where I teach certain things or deliver information. We have a WhatsApp group where we share moves and I share advice and blah, blah, blah. And I'm always sharing with these guys, old school bartenders. And the latest one I shared with them, I don't know if you remember this guy, it was a guy called Graham Warner. Do you remember Graham Warner?
No.
He was a Canadian Flair bartender. He had the most amazing 3-tin sequence moves. He had an amazing style of flair, and he used to flair to like hip hop music. And he was incredible. Like, he could have been a world champion in my eyes. But I've been sharing his videos with my Pro Flair group recently, and they're picking up so many different ideas which are achievable, because this was back in 2003 when he was flaring 2002. And what's up? And if we weren't, ciao. If we weren't talking about these people, they get lost. And luckily for YouTube is there to be able to share their videos.
Yes, because I remember I did an episode with Fabio Bacchi. I don't know if you know him, but Fabio Bacchi is a very famous person in Italy about the mixology. He saw all the story of the Italian stories and mixology stories. And I asked him who inspired you, and he told me it was like a teacher at school. When I saw his eyes was like crying to telling me about this, and I said, for me it was the same with Dario Doimo, and I did a reels with Sky Vodka competition video of Dario.
Oh yeah.
And people said to me, Carmine, who is that guy? A lot of people write to me, who is that? And look, it was, how you asked me who is that guy?
Right. And Dario Doimo, like, I mean, he's one of those. I feel like he was one of the most underrated flair bartenders.
Yeah.
Like he achieved a lot. He won a lot. But it's weird that he didn't get as much to some other flair bartenders as much recognition, because some of the stuff that he was doing back in the day, and his composure on the stage, and what he brought to the world of flair was amazing. And not to mention the Doimo station, which him and his brother helped put together.
Yeah.
So yeah, Dario Doimo is a famous flair bartender. Go check him out.
For me was the same, but the first guy I saw was Dario, and after because of that I saw all of one, you two, Marco, and everyone. So I didn't ask you the first question I always say. So how you start to do this job?
Well, I was working in a restaurant. It was like a copycat of TGI Fridays.
London.
Just about, almost on the outskirts. And it was called Bennigan's, and I was cleaning tables. And I turned 18. By the time I turned 18, this place had changed its name to Jefferson's. And they said, "Do you want to be a bartender or do you want to be a waiter?" And I said, "Well, bartender probably get more women. I want to be a bartender." Right?
A lot of people told me about it. The flair bartender are to tell the truth.
Yeah.
The beginning was about that. I remember too. Was like that, and then the flair world was different too. Roadhouse there was Roadhouse when you start.
So when I started working as a bartender, I started in July 2000.
Okay.
I was 18 in June 2000, so I started a month later. By November 2000, my bar manager, his name was Jody Myers. He used to work at TGI Fridays, and he said, "Hey, there's this competition in a place called Roadhouse. It's like a championships. Do you want to go and watch?" I was like, "Yeah, sure." And we weren't really doing much flair. He was showing me some stuff. We had a small tandem.
It was just a show.
It was just, I wasn't like, flair, yeah, it's cool, but whatever. I was still practicing at home a little bit, but yeah, I wasn't taking it seriously.
I remember a video about that, like you, skinny Tom with glasses. Like I remember a video of you like this on the back of the competition.
Oh man, I used to sit there watching all the guys like, what are they gonna do? What are they gonna do? And we went to watch the 2000 final. I mean, the 2000 Roadhouse Grand Finals was the first Grand Finals, and I was sitting on what was called Station 3 at the time, and I had a perfect view of the stage. From 12 o'clock in the afternoon until midnight, I stayed there just drinking Coca-Cola, and I watched everybody, and I was blown away. And I saw Nicholas St. John and his routine in 2000. It's still my most favorite routine, and it makes me emotional when I watch it. It was just like this thing which sparked me to practice. And I got back home and I was like, man, these guys are doing these crazy things. And then I was trying to explain to people, and they're bouncing it off their arm, and they're catching it, and they're doing this other stuff. And then I was hooked. And then that's what pushed me to start practicing. I was like, okay, I want to win that competition. I want to compete in that competition. I want to work at Roadhouse. So, and then a year later, I tried to get a job at Roadhouse. This is quite funny, I suppose. So I went to Roadhouse and I thought that I was the shit, I thought I got this. I wasn't that great at flair, but I thought I could bartend. And the guy interviewed me, and imagine I still looked like I was about 12 years old.
Yeah, I remember videos of you, of young you.
And I turned up to Roadhouse, and the bar manager at the time, his name's Chris Spencer. And I said, oh yeah, I want to get a job. And he said, okay. He said a Long Island iced tea, a glass of red wine, 2 Jack Daniels and Cokes, 4 Cosmopolitans, and 3 strawberry daiquiris. He goes, what did I order? I was like, Long Island iced tea, blah blah. Anyway, I didn't get the job. He says, sorry, I don't think you're gonna survive. And every day I see him, whenever I see him, I always say to him, thank you very much for not giving me the job at Roadhouse, because it probably would have destroyed me, because I was such a kid and it was such a big place that I wasn't prepared for, and he saw that, and because of that, it drove me to practice even more, to say, right, I'm going to prove you wrong, I'm going to enter this competition,
Yeah.
and I'm going to win this competition.
The biggest achievement in work I get it's when people said to me no.
Yeah, exactly. It pushes you, right?
Yeah, a lot. Because when I was working, I was like feeling like I'm good. I'm good in this. And after Florian Hobel, right? Without Tom, will still stick to throwing one bottle. Thanks, Tom.
Florian is a long compadre, let's say. He was been following my YouTube channel for a long time. He's been to Flair Camp quite a few times. And he's a great guy. Thank you very much, Florian. Good to hear from you.
I tell you now a story because I went to when I started to flare in Roadhouse was like heaven, the place to be. I would like to be there, and I did my first competition after just 1 year of training, like serious training. So I was not ready for it. But I remember I did my first competition, my first Roadhouse in January 2012. And you won it in January. You don't remember, but I remember. Don't worry. and I was there, and you forget. I'm still telling this story. It's fake story, but I'm still telling this story to students or people around the world. And now this is the first time I say it's fake because, look, you was practicing in the practice area, and. I was saying hello to you like ciao Tom and Carmen, and you was okay ciao, and you went to the stage, you did your routine in the qualification round, and after at the night you forget one Bacardi bottle on the flare room, in the flare room, and I took it, that bottle, but it's a Tom bottle, I will take it. And in the flare room where I grew up in the school, I have that bottle on the wall.
Really?
Yes, it's a UK Bacardi bottle. I think the bottle have more than it's like almost 18 years.
Why do you say it's a fake story? You made it up?
Yeah, but I say to everyone, you give it to me. I say, look at this bottle. It's a UK bottle. Tom Dyer give it to me.
Nice, man. It's good to have that kind of memorabilia.
Yeah, look.
Yeah, man. It's.
But for me, that bottle was like, this is Tom. Train with this bottle, there is your green pour on it.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it was like because it was different bottle like the Italians and
sure.
And I have two bottles. I will tell Luca too. And when they was building the stage of Roadhouse, there was the back, the steel back.
Yeah.
They were having bottle to put on.
Yeah.
And they was having 2012 a Flerco bottle of Roadhouse, red one.
Yeah, I remember that one.
And I was asking at the entrance of the Roadhouse if I can buy because people told me there was a selling bottle, but at that time they didn't have. And I asked the barback to say how much is this bottle? And the barback was like to me. I say, really? Yes, take it.
That was a nice barback. His name was Cleverson.
Yeah.
It was a good barback, yeah, man.
I remember was because at that time there was another machine to sell lighter.
Yeah.
I didn't smoke, but the lighter of the Roadhouse, like £1 or 2, I don't remember.
Yeah, that's right.
I still have it.
Does it still work?
Yes, because I don't smoke. So it's with the dishes in my kitchen.
Nice, man. Yeah. Roadhouse, what a place, man. It's such a shame that it went away, but yeah. I think it served its purpose for the world. So that's the good thing,
So Tom, and what about? I would like to. How you grow up in just with your skills? Like when you start, there was people to inspire you, but it was not like today. Today I can find every kind of moves. But you in your time you was like you have to find moves, you have to get inspired because in that time there was a lot of competition in America.
Yeah.
But you didn't know what the American guys was doing.
Not really.
You was seeing what they doing 1 year after when you meet them.
Yeah. Well, you'd see it on the DVDs, or like I used to say, our social media was the practice room at competitions. That's where we shared and showed our moves.
Maybe Ricardo told me, because Ricardo told me when I was doing competition. When I was doing competition was different because after the competition, every one of us was in the flare room and we was flaring. Everyone saying, "No, this is nice, this is nice."
Exactly.
We was not doing that.
No. Exactly, and that's how where we shared our stuff. But when you're practicing, like I practiced alone my whole career. So when people say to me, "Oh, it's really hard. I have no one to practice with," I'm like, "Good. It's hard. You have to be motivated."
I did alone too.
But I mean, I was lucky when I began. I feel like I started in like the best time ever because Flair was booming, and we went through what I called the discovery phase. You know, so every month, every 6 months, we're like, okay, there's a new stall. There's a stall on here, or there's a stall on the shoulder, or there's a stall on the foot, or there's a stall on the calf muscle, or there's a new tap. Oh, there's a tap here, there's a tap there. You know, so you're discovering so many moves, and I think being able to practice alone, I was discovering so much stuff, and we weren't putting it online, we couldn't see it online, you know, and you weren't sharing it. You had to save it for the competition, and I think that's what made the competition so exciting, because you couldn't see the Flair beforehand. So that's how the excitement I used to get in my practice area, like doing my routine, when I used to land my routine clean in the practice room, I used to get excited as if I was on stage, and that used to drive me to do it again and then do it again and then do it again, so that when I got to the stage, I was prepared, and I was prepared for the feelings as well, because I think that's one thing that people aren't prepared for, is the feelings that you're going to have once you get on stage. But yeah, it was a journey, and it was the best journey ever, because you never set out to go, right, I want to win the World Championships. You just start by trying to do stuff
in front of people.
In front of people, exactly. You don't all of a sudden think, okay, 3 bottles in a tin now. It just happens organically, and as you let it happen, and you enjoy that process of practicing, that's when I feel that the creative mind really, really unfolds, and you start to find all these new ideas. And if you can be passionate about wanting to show new stuff to people on stage, they will feel that once you get on stage, because your passion, people feed off of your passion, okay? And I say this to my instructors at my bartending school, I'm like, if you're passionate about what you're teaching, the students will feel that, and they will want to know what you're talking about. So if you ever talk to somebody who's passionate about tennis, and you will listen to what they have to say, because you can feel the passion coming through what they're saying. So that's what really drove me when I was practicing. I was so passionate about wanting to show something new. I wanted to make people go, what? What is this? What is this craziness? And that drove me to practice more and more and more. And I think, if people could, if the newer generation think more about wanting to put on a performance, and how to showcase themselves, and how to make people go, what the, how to stand out, so that in a competition of 50 people, everyone remembers that one guy or that one girl who did this crazy performance, not move, performance.
Yeah.
You will be remembered, and you will grow very quickly. Because here's another thing. A lot of people say that we're driven by difficulty in Flair at the moment. And difficulty is such a driving force, because we see the likes of Michael Moreni doing the unicorn, which is crazy, and Dennis Trifonov with his 6-7 objects, and Roman Zapata, and Enrico Maloney, and Ciro Marino, and all these guys doing all these crazy moves. But they didn't,
always faster, always difficulter.
Right? But I say to the new generation, the difficulty will come. I said, Ciro Marino didn't start last year.
Yeah. He started with me.
There you go.
He go out in late, but he started with me.
So how many years has he been flaring?
2011, 13, like that.
13 years, right, to get to where he is now, and now he's starting to make this, like 2 or 3 years, make a name for himself. But if you start with the creative side, the difficulty will come. It will not come any faster, no matter how much you try. You start with the creative side, the and the performance. The difficulty will arrive later on. It's a future friend that you'll have in your Flair world as you progress and improve your skills, because you can only become more difficult with better reactions, better knowledge, better moves, better skill. And that takes time and dedication, which is what you need to enjoy first to be able to reach that level.
When you said the what the fuck moment, you remember me one time, Matteo Esposito was in the Roadhouse World Final with Gianluigi, and there was Juan Pablo Santiago and people didn't know about him. And Matteo told me, Gianluigi, during the routine of Juan Pablo, broke the shirt of Matteo because he was on the back and said, "Who the fuck is this guy? He's looked like Danilo Super Saiyan level 3, you know."
yeah. He had some skills, man.
You was there.
I remember the guy was there as well. Yeah.
It was so impressive.
Yeah, man. I mean, the South American world and you know the flair bartenders that have come out of Uruguay and Argentina have all been, you know, they drove flair for a long time. Look at Danilo, who we spoke about, Christian Delpesh, Rodrigo Delpesh, Juan Lorente, Christian Olden. I remember this one time in Roadhouse, 2004, I think it was. Do you know Christian Olden? Have you seen this guy?
He's the guy before Christian.
Yeah. They were.
I never saw him, but I heard stories about him.
So there's this video on YouTube. You can go and watch it. It's the Roadhouse World Finals, and I think it's 2003 or 4. I'm not sure. And he tries this 4-bottle move, which is dun 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 dun. It's like a shadow pass. Two bottles here, 2 bottles here, and like boom, boom, boom. And he does it once, drops it. Does it again, drops it. And then you see him kind of go, and he told me this. It's like, fuck it, I'll try the upgrade, you know. And he did the upgrade. He went boom, 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 and landed it. And the place went absolutely. I was sitting there, like you said, like this.
So, and I would like to ask to you. During your telling me things, I think when you was practicing, you have nothing to share with people. You know, your generation, no, but my generation starting to do moves. On moves and learn that moves on social media, and we was feeling like we had a crowd. Like I was doing a move, was difficult move, and I was okay. I get like 10,000 visualized, so I can do it on stage. But after like 3 people on stage, we was not able to do bottle team moves. But your generation, no, because you didn't have that moment to feel the crowd because you was alone and nothing to share with it.
Yeah, exactly. And I think this is something I say to so many bartenders. I say, stop sharing if you're going to compete, stop sharing your moves online. If you look at Michael Moreni, Denis Trifonovs, Roman Zapata, Enrico Ciro, very few of those guys, like the Michael Moreni for sure, they will never show their new moves before the stage. Because when you show a new move, like Michael Moreni just updated his unicorn move. He did a competition in London. It was a really small competition, and he competed to try his new routine, and he's upgraded his unicorn move. But we never saw that upgrade of the unicorn move before on social media, because
if you share, you have to do it.
You have to do it, and even if you don't land it, then you still keep the surprise for another competition. Whereas if you've done it on social media, you've already lost 50% of the surprise of that move, because the people watching you on stage is the same people watching your performance on social media. So if you save that move for the stage, it has a much, much bigger impact. And there's this psychological, trick. I don't know, maybe you've heard it, and I'll just explain it because I don't know any other way, is that if you want to do a podcast, for example, and you go around telling everybody, I want to do a podcast, I want to do a podcast, I want to do a podcast, the chances are you will never do that podcast because you're talking about it so much. Whereas if you want to do a podcast and you shut up and then you show everyone that you're doing a podcast, you're more likely for that podcast to succeed because you're talking about it by actually doing it. So it's the same with flair moves. If you show that flair move, all right, once you get to the stage, I've done it once. Psychologically, subconsciously, you feel like you've already done it and you don't have the same passion to land that move again, you know. So it's save your moves until the stage, because you'll be much more focused and excited to share that move for people, because you realize that I really want to share this move, you know. Whereas if you've already shared it, I'm not so interested.
It's different.
It's different.
So, I have a lot of things to ask you, but tell me about the books.
The book. The book, yeah. This Marco Canova and I, we started to put together basically the history of flair bartending, because now we have a good history, and the book should be coming out hopefully later this year. Myself and Marco Canova have put this together, and it's a culmination from the very, very early days of flair bartending. So we go back to, well, we have a record of a painting from 1692, I think it is, or 1654, from a Dutch painter. Then we go up until the 1860s, where Jerry the Professor Thomas was around. And the funny thing is, there was multiple bartenders like Jerry Thomas, but he was the one that stood out. And during that time, we also have a newspaper cutting from Japan, from 1863, from two American bartenders that went to Japan to work in the hotel in Japan. So there was already guest shifts happening in 1863. And so this book is, we've interviewed John Bandy, John Mezcal, who was the first ever classic flair bartender in the world. Like TGI Fridays, that stripy uniform and the braces, that was basically based on this bartender called John Mezcal. He was like the poster boy for TGI Fridays when he joined, and that's what pushed TGI Fridays to start wanting to do flair. And then they tried it. It didn't work out so much. And then the cocktail movie came out, and then TGI Fridays grabbed hold of that. And because of the cocktail movie and TGI Fridays, flair grew exponentially worldwide. Yeah. And with the help of John Bandy, who was the guy who trained Tom Cruise for the movie Cocktail. So we've interviewed them. We've interviewed the likes of Andy Collinson, Christian Delpeche, Rodrigo Delpeche, Tomek Malik, Alexander Stifanov.
Everyone who need to talk.
Yeah, I mean, we kept saying, Marco and I were like, okay, cool. We've had like 2 or 3 chapters. And we do those 2 or 3 chapters.
So you get a lot of trouble to
finish.
Yeah.
It was constantly, okay, we need another one. And there's still many people that we didn't have the chance to talk to. But the book looks amazing. I mean, it's incredible. The stories and how it all links together, and you see the pathway of how flair grew and how it went up and when it kind of plateaued a little bit and where it's going. I think anybody in the bartending world, whether you're interested in flair or not, will find this book interesting, because you'll see so many different channels, so many different ways to appreciate the book. So
I will glad to share this book when they will come. So I will ask to you another things about your generation of flair bartender became famous on like YouTube, because there was only YouTube, because YouTube in competition, like in your generation, just the best became famous,
Sure.
because there was no social media. But you guys didn't share your videos. There was people who took in your video and shared it, or competition to sharing your video on YouTube. But with that you become famous worldwide. I remember, maybe Dyer told me, or you, I don't remember, but when you went like in China, in Tokyo, the people was going crazy, like Real Madrid arrived,
It was mental.
It was, because to me happened to, not like yours, completely different, but sure, you sure for me you are.
Man, it was mental. I remember this one time, it was me, Tomek Marek, and were the two guys from Europe. There was a few others as well, I think. I can't remember the other person. And we were doing a tour around Japan. We was in Tokyo, we went to Yokohama, and I think one other place, I can't remember. And I remember we went into this one venue. It was like 3 competitions in 4 days or whatever. We went into this one venue. It was like a small music venue. Just a big room with a stage. We walk in, anyway, we go out the back, we're practicing. The place fills up. By the time we come out, there's people there with banners that said Dangerous Dyer or Tomek Malik or the other flair bartender. They've made these things, like this. And we're like, how do you know about what we're doing? They're like, YouTube or the DVD. Yeah, because DVD. People would buy DVDs from Bar Products, and that was it. DVDs passed around everywhere, and we never had the sharing your videos was not a thing.
Yeah.
So
because you don't in that time, back in the days, you don't need that.
No,
you didn't know about that.
No, it just wasn't a thought process. That's why, I don't know. It didn't come in. Whereas now it's such a thing, because obviously everybody can share a video of everything immediately. But yeah, it was just your only focus was my next routine, my next move, my next performance on the stage.
Yes, but today, if you want to be successful, like a flair bartender, like a bartender, you cannot be like that. Today.
Sure. Yeah, you have to have all facets. I mean, the most famous flair bartenders really now don't compete.
Yeah.
The most famous flair bartenders is Vladimir Buryanov, or Raul Guzman, or Olya Sabanina, or Ivan Usov, Akimba Flair. None of these people are competing anymore. And probably most of the people watching this probably don't even know that all of those people used to compete. Vladimir, very much so. He won many competitions years ago, So it's it's a different world we live in now.
Why Dangerous Dyer? I never asked it to him.
So there was, when I was growing up, my next door neighbor, he asked me what my nickname was. And I said, I don't really have a nickname. But there was this, and so he said, I'm going to give you a nickname. And there was a British comedian called Brian Connolly. And he used to do a sketch in his routine of a character called Dangerous Brian. And Dangerous Brian would do crazy stunts. It was all comedy, stupid stuff.
Maybe someone told me it was dangerous because you was doing move near the rail.
No.
No,
I heard many rumors like this. Nothing to do with that. It's completely non-related to flair. Anyway, I love this comedy guy called Dangerous Brian. So my next door neighbor, he said, I'm going to call you Dangerous Dyer. So he calls me Dangerous Dyer.
But it works. It's nice.
Yeah. People used to say to me, what's so dangerous about Tom? Like, why is he called Dangerous? And there's only two people in the world who call me Dangerous now, and that is my next door neighbor still, and Michael Moreni. So Michael Moreni still calls me Dangerous.
You did it perfectly. So then, how to? I was telling you how to capitalize today. How a flair bartender have to be today? Like, wait, I remember back in the days, and my generation started to work with social media, and your generation understand like 1 year after. Or I remember when you was not working with social media, you was asking someone to how to work like that. Like your generation took the knowledge how to use Shazaneko to my generation.
Exactly, and we still don't know.
still boomers.
Still boomers, but yeah. For new people coming into flair, I mean, first you need to decide which direction you want to go. Because now you have choices. You want to do competitions, you want to use it on the bar, you want to do events, you want to do performances, shows, what do you want to do? And I think understanding your direction is the key. Then that will determine on how much practice you need to put in and training. Because I think whatever you're going to do in flair, you need to dedicate some time. Get professional help. Like, there's plenty of people out there, myself included, Akimba, I can't remember the others, but there's multiple online courses. There's people out there that can mentor you and coach you. Get their professional help. Get their help, because these people have gone through, like, you know, if you're in Italy and you need help on doing something, come and speak to Carmine and understand all the struggles that you're having. Understand all the struggles that you're having from somebody who's already done it, because that's going to save you 2 years.
Yeah.
Then you just have to focus on practicing.
This is what we was talking with. This was what we talked when we was talking about the move before.
Exactly. If you can get the information, which you can now. Like when I started, there was nowhere to get the information. Was the practice room. I remember just very quickly, Christian Olden showed me how to catch and hold 3 bottles. Yeah. Before that, I had no idea, and that opened the doors for me for many things. But anyway, get help from somebody professional, understand your direction, dedicate a certain amount of time per day to practicing and focus on that. And then from there, set your goals. What do you want to achieve? And then make the steps on how you're going to achieve those goals. And before you know it, you'll start achieving those goals very easily, very quickly. But don't try and don't go out there thinking, I want to be able to do 4 tins in a bottle. Because what you'll do, you'll alienate yourself to one idea, you'll get frustrated, you'll get bored, and then you'll give up. you know. And if you want to do competitions, I see many people that want to do competitions and they practice and they practice all these crazy moves, and then they don't get the position that they think they deserved in a competition because they haven't understood what they need to do in a competition. Whereas if you get that help, go to somebody who's a professional and say, hey, look at my routine. Do you think I'm going to score high in this competition? And if you talk to somebody who's honest with you, they'll tell you yes or no. They'll give you the point, okay, where you're missing the points. And it's very, very easy. And the last thing I'll say about this, because there's so much I could say about it, Sabi Circus just put out a post on POV Judge POV, which is about the ego. Now, I think this is a subject which should be talked about a lot more in Flair, because the ego is what drives us and what restricts us and what helps us and hinders us. Because when I'm making a routine, my ego is in control. I want to do 5-6 objects. I want to go crazy. I want to do all these big moves. But if you're doing a routine and you're doing a competition, you need to push the ego aside and understand the rules. How you're going to score the points, what you need to do, how to put on a performance, how to do a show, and then let the ego come in a little bit to help you. And then that will help you put together your routine. And then at the competition, you need the ego to help you more so that you can feel confident on stage. Okay? So when you're on stage...
People feel that.
Exactly. Yeah. And then that will help you be confident. Like Alexander Stefanov, you know, he uses his ego and his confidence as a fine balance to perform well and look good on stage. And then after the stage, you need to push that ego aside again and be humble and understand that whether you won first or last is not your decision, and it's not the other competitor's decision where you came. It's the 3 judges that have been employed to make that decision. And unfortunately, the bad part about competitions is that you need to accept their decision. And then you can ask them, okay, you know, how can I improve? Or you can go back to your coach or your mentor and say, you know, why didn't I get the position that I need? So the ego is a big thing, which I think could be its own podcast altogether.
Difficult to handle.
Yeah.
Now, I tell you 2 things. The first things you tell me about the fingers, and Luca show me how to use this finger.
Oh, yeah.
It's so important in Flair, this finger too.
Man, Luca's got I don't know which move it is, the 3 bottles behind the back, boom, boom. Even Rodrigo Del Pesce, 6 bottles.
Boom. Yes. And another, you talk about Stifa, and my best achievement was in one competition I beat Stifa.
Oh, really?
Because he was fucked up. So he no sponsor. He didn't use a sponsor in Lollapalooza. In the first Lollapalooza Grand Final, I was the only one not big guy in that competition. Said, for me, it's okay to not get the last place. And Stifa did that wrong, and he was on the last, and I was not last. That's okay. I'm the winner today.
Nice, man.
So how? I'm just asking your idea. Why today it's so difficult to get brands interesting of Flair?
Because they can spend the same money on social media and reach millions of people. So now there's a difference in the marketing. Like if I went up to Red Bull, for example, and said, give me 10,000 euros and I will promote your brand. Now, there's a difference in me promoting, and there's a difference in 10,000 euros going into social media. You know, the 10,000 euros into social media is less trusted because it's just adverts. You know, you've got to trust that your advert is created well and the video and the content is good. Whereas a person, people will trust a person a little bit more as long as how that person is delivering their content. But when it comes to Flair, the difficulty is, let me put it another way. Brands will trust Flair if they see value in what you're offering. And for Flair Camp, for example, the value that we're able to offer is an international crowd. We offer 6 months worth of social media activity with X amount of posts going online. We get the product of the sponsor into the hands of 50 or 60 new people. We are able to connect these campers with the brands, so they're able to create relationships and network. So that is a full circle of of loyalty that you're building with, with 50 or 60 campers.
Yes.
And in that respect, brands can see value in that because they're able to generate hot leads, let's say.
Yeah.
But when it comes to a competition, I think a lot of people lose sight on the fact that it's they promote their competition for like one day. Come to my Tom Dyer Flair Bartending competition. I want £10,000 for you to sponsor this competition because I want to give £10,000 of prize money to these 30 people. Now, these 30 people, with all due respect, don't give a shit about the brands that are sponsoring. They want the £10,000 prize money. So as an organizer, my job is to try and connect the sponsor and the 30 bartenders. How can I utilize the 30 bartenders that are competing in my competition and the sponsor to show value to that sponsor? Because if you can, I think you said yesterday there was a competition where they had to do something with
Instagram stories, yes.
Instagram stories. If you can connect your bartenders, your competitors with Instagram and social media, you start to push organic marketing out to the market. And organic marketing is a very powerful type of marketing. It's like me saying to you, or me going back to London or to Portugal and said, I did a really cool podcast in Italy. The word of mouth of me telling about Podcastdelbartender or Mixology Circus is what's going to help that podcast grow. And they go, oh, really? There's a podcast about flair and blah, blah, blah. And that will grow. So being able to promote brands in an organic way, they will find value in that. But we get I see a lot of people get so blinded by their own event or idea that they forget to kind of look further beyond that. Do you know what I mean?
Yes.
Does that make sense? Yeah?
Yeah.
I mean, I've only learned this from years of trying to speak to sponsors and getting refused and understanding what do I need to do to show value to them, because a lot of the time a brand is giving you money for awareness. That's the first stage of marketing. If you can understand marketing, you're gonna understand this. The first stage is awareness. They need to know about your podcast or your mixer or your Red Bull. If they don't know about it, they're never gonna watch it, taste it, look at it, like it, whatever. So that's the first thing. Once you've got the awareness, then you need to try and generate them into being interested in your product. And for them to be interested, you need to make them aware about your product more than once. Think about a new movie that's coming out. I don't know, new Spider-Man movie. New Spider-Man movie is coming out. When you walk home, you will see that Spider-Man movie poster on a bus, in the metro, in the newspaper, on your telephone, on the television. You will see that poster multiple times until you realize, oh, there's a new Spider-Man movie. Maybe I'm going to go and check that one out.
Yeah.
So if you can get the awareness, you make them interested, then you can create them into a loyal customer. Then you can turn them into a really hot lead and start selling to that person. So if you can understand that as an organizer of a competition or as a flair bartender, then you're going to be able to understand how you can offer value to brands.
To your brands. So last things, and after I have to say hello to you, but I would like to talk another 3 hours with you. But you're happy to in what years you grew up in flair, or maybe you prefer you would like to be a flair bartender today, or you're
No. I'm so glad that I got into flair when I did, because the difficulties today, I mean, because I only know the way I grew up, so.
But you are one of the guys who was improving the difficulty.
Yeah.
Because the level was here. And you with other, I think, 10 guys was always putting that line higher.
Right. So this is where if I with my skills came into flair today, I probably would not be as well known as what I was if I came in when I came in. I mean, I don't know that, but it's like I said, we went through the discovery phase, or we're calling in the book, we're calling it the golden era, because so many moves are being discovered and ideas that had never been seen before. So that's what made it so exciting and so creative. And I think I was very lucky to be able to come in during this period. And nowadays, for the new generation coming in, there's good points and bad points. The good point is that there's so many directions you can take. Whereas when I started, it was you do competitions or, you know,
Just competition.
yeah. So I mean, for the new generation, as I said, you've got a harder time if you want to do competitions, but you've got an easier time because if you want to learn quickly, because you have so many more resources now. University of YouTube. University of Instagram, you know, university everywhere, exactly.
There are tutorials everywhere. So, Tom, and I would like, and we have no time, but I would like to talk with you. And you are one of the guys who's changing. I think maybe 4 or 5 times your routines. Like I think I'm talking about all the routine, all the routine changing, all the last routine. No new one. You did. I think 3 or 4 or 5 times.
More
than
more because it was Roadhouse Grand Final was new routine every year, and that was the Roadhouse Grand Final was the one to win. And if you won that, in my eyes, that was you were the best flair bartender in the world at that point.
You know how many win balls you have?
Roadhouse.
Yeah.
The Grand Finals I won.
No, the normal one.
32.
32. you know how much.
Yeah.
Because everyone, you know, Marco is. I think it's close to you. Every time it's all things, but every time someone was feeling like big one, and Marco have a video of his room, his trophy room. So, okay, and he said, he always sent videos because he said in a picture I cannot put it. I cannot put all the trophy in a picture, so he do always that video like that.
Nice.
The trophy room.
Yeah. No, 32. But I can't remember your question. Were you?
No, I was just telling you because what I saw.
Oh, the new routines.
You did a lot of new routine, but the one who was making me exciting more was the routine like the Madrid Flare Open.
Really?
With I remember maybe it was Pendulum song.
Boom, boom.
Boom, boom, boom.
Yeah.
I was liking so much that time. And I bring it that move with the taps, and I use it from. I think there are more than 10 years I use that move in Flair shows.
Yeah, man, and people love it. It's a standard move in Flair now.
All the music things make the people going crazy.
Big time. And my favorite routine, I say this to people, was my last one, my Roadhouse 2015, because you know, like as you said, I always change my.
10 years ago.
10 years ago.
Looks like yesterday.
And I say to people now that when I watch any routine before that, I don't like it, because this one was, in my eyes, what should be your routine. And this was the one which, you know, was, as I say, it's my heart and my soul into a routine. And if you can achieve that in your routine, then you're doing the right thing with your routine. If you can achieve that and land it well, then you're doing the right thing. And I think it was a statement routine which was suggested to me by Jumbo St. Pierre. You know, because imagine doing Roadhouse Grand Finals, but 2 objects. It's like, okay, let's go.
8-9 minutes, just 2 objects.
Just 2 objects. And it's a testament to show that difficulty is not always the answer, because you know you can put on an amazing performance just with 1 object. You know.
Tom, I would like to ask you to come in another kind of show like this to do a volume 2 of this interview.
Yeah, I'd love to. Thank you very much for having me coming in.
Thank to you to give him your time, because time is money and Tom give it to me.
Thanks.
So, ragazzi, questo era un nuovo episodio del podcast del bartender. Ci vediamo al prossimo episodio. Ricordate di seguire il canale, se vi va, se volete ci si può anche abbonare. Tom, how can find you on social media or your business in social media?
Tom Dyer Bartender. I'm on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, my website, Tom Dyer Bartender, flaircamp.com. Bookings are open now if you want to come to Flair Camp 14. And the Pro Flair group, which you can find on my website too.
Ok, thank you. Ragazzi, ci vediamo alla prossima. Ciao.
Ciao.